Hello, lovely learners. How are you all doing today? I hope you are doing great. We thank God for yet another opportunity for us to meet and also continue with our virtual learning. Once again, I salute you on behalf of management, and I urge you to continue to study hard at home. Now, today we are continuing with our virtual learning, and I'm very happy that today we are starting with a new topic, and this is Jhs Two-Science, and as usual, I'm still your teacher, Mr. Samuel Nimakun Yeboah. Now, today we are looking at a very interesting topic, that is machine. And I'm sure you have been using machines at home, simple machines, and the ones that they are a bit complicated to use. So you can mention some machines or examples of machines that you know. Now today we are learning something under machines, and these are the subtopics we are going to look at. Today we want to talk about machines, the types of machines. We are also going to talk about the simple machines under the types of machines. We will also be looking at a lever. We're going to talk about a lever and the parts of a lever. Now, before we start, we are expecting to achieve something. We don't just learn for learning's sake. All these things we are learning, in future we are going to apply them, and therefore we must know the importance of learning these topics. So I'm expecting something from you, and therefore by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to explain the term machines. And two, should be able to distinguish the types of machines we have. And thirdly, you should be able to list some examples of simple machines. And lastly, you should be able to explain levers. So this is what I'm expecting from you. These are our objectives for the day. And therefore, I'll continue to urge you to pay attention so that we can achieve these aims or objectives together. Now let me show you some simple machines. I hope you have seen this before by our gardeners who normally come to our homes to trim our hedges or our gardens or flowers for us. This is a simple garden shear. I hope you have seen it. We have this, which is very common. This is hammer. It's a simple tool which we use or normally used by carpenters. That is hammer for you. And this is simple scissors. This is very common tool that we have been using, even though you are not seamstress or tailors, but we normally use them at home and offices or maybe shops. We have this one, you all know this is saw. This is a saw for cutting or for reducing sizes of materials. That is a saw, and it's another machine. This is another machine which is used to remove nails from wood. Another tool that we are going to talk about here. This is another tool we are going to look at. This is a chisel, a cutting tool. We also have another one which is a holding tool. This is Incline for holding or supporting materials when cutting. That is a Incline, and it's a simple tool which we are going to look at, and we will classify it under levers. We will see the class of tool this Incline is. Now we are also going to talk about the various tools or machines. This is a camera, as you know, and this is not a simple machine as you can see. This is a bit complex machine, so we are going to talk about it as well. So these are a few machines we are going to look at, and this is also a plane for planing or reducing the size of wood. That is a plane. This is another simple tool we are going to talk about. And I hope you know this. This is also a machine. This mobile phone is a machine which can help us to do work more easier. Now we are going to look at how we can use these machines to perform work. Now let's go straight to the point. We are looking at machine. What is a machine? Now that we've seen various examples here, what are machines, or what is a machine? A machine is any device that allows work to be done more easily and faster. A machine is any device that allows work to be done more easily and faster. Or you can also define it as any device by which a smaller force is applied at a point to overcome a larger force at another point. That is a machine for you. Now we have types of machines, or the various machines. We can put them into two main groups or types. And one, we have simple machines, and two, we have complex machines or compound machines. When you take a car, or when you look at a car, for instance, a car is a machine which is used for transportation purposes, and a car is a type of complex or compound machine. Most machines which are under complex or compound machines uses engines, and they are difficult to construct. So examples of complex machines, we have bulldozers, tractors, blenders, which you normally use at home. So these are examples of complex or compound machines. Now the simple machines, we have examples. As the name comes, simple machines, or as the name goes, a simple machine, they are just machines which can be made or constructed easily. And they don't use engines to operate. You don't put engines in simple machines for them to operate. They are easily constructed. That is simple machines. And examples of simple machines, we have levers, incline planes, wedge, pulleys, gears, wheel and axle, screws, and the rest. These are examples of simple machines. But these are in a classified form, or is in a classic form. That is simple machines. Now, let's look at incline planes. Incline planes are simple machines which allows us to perform work. Now, for example, if you have this load, please help me. This is how an incline plane look like. For example, if you have a Kia car, or if you have a long track car, and you want to load or offload your goods, you know, carrying it down and up is very difficult. Some of the loads are very heavy. So for example, if I have this load which is heavy to carry, let's assume it's very heavy to carry, the only thing I can do in order to raise it on top of this table is to get a support like this, which is slopey. Then I can roll it. In rolling it, one or two people can hold it, force it up like this. You can easily roll it when the thing is very round like this. You can roll it up. So in so doing, you are able to overcome the work or the load, and that is an inclined plane. The same way, or likewise, you can offload it by rolling it, and that one is easily performed or done. That is what? A machine, a simple machine which is inclined planes. Now we have pulley systems as well. Pulley systems, when you go to our villages, those who normally fetch water from wells, you see that when you are raising the water from the well, after fetching the water, for example, if this is my water, and I want to raise it from the wells, wells are very deep, and therefore raising it up is very difficult. Therefore, they normally fix a pulley system on it, such as this, something like this, which can roll, something like this, which can roll. So when you fix it here and you want to raise it, you only roll it because it can easily raise, it can easily be done in that way. So in so doing, you can overcome the weight which the normal strength or energy cannot perform. So this is a system which is called a pulley system. I hope you can see that. Okay, thank you. Now we have gears which are fixed in cars in order for the cars to be able to move, or even bicycle gears. If you change the bicycle gears, if you are climbing a hill and you change it to a level that can easily move or rotate, you see that you overcome the difficulties that you are supposed to use to ride a bicycle. And that is the gears for you. We have screws which we can use to tighten pieces together. Okay, now let's look at levers. What is a lever? A lever is any rigid bar which rotates at a certain point, called the pivot or the fulcrum. Examples of lever or levers: we have bottle opener. You cannot use the teeth, and it's not advisable to use the teeth to open bottles such as Coca-Cola or Fanta. You can use the bottle opener to open it without any difficulties. So we have bottle opener, which is an example of levers. We have a pair of scissors, which I've shown to you right now. We have scissors. This is an example of a lever. We also have wheelbarrow, which is used to carry loads. So these are examples of levers. So a lever is used to lift or move a heavy object. That is levers for you. Now, part of levers. Let's look at the part of levers. Now, when you take these scissors, we have the effort side or part where you apply the force, where the force is applied. That is the effort side. We also have the pivot, the turning point where it turns, where the two parts turns. That is the pivot or the fulcrum. And we also have the load, where you are going to put your material which you are going to cut. If this is what you want to cut, you place it here. So that side becomes the load, where the cloth, example, when you are sewing dress, where you are going to cut, you place it there, and that part becomes your load side. So we have three parts of a lever, or three parts of lever. That is the pivot, the effort, and the load. Now let's look at the classes of levers. All these simple machines can be classified based on the positions of the load, the pivot, and the effort. We can classify them into three groups, and that is the classes or classifications of levers. So we have the first class levers, we have the second class levers, and the third class levers. These are the classes of levers. These are the classes of levers. The first class levers, the second class levers, and the third class levers. So we are going to look at the various classes of levers based on the positions of the load, the pivot, and the effort. So I have a simple acronyms which are normally used when we are dealing with levers and the classes of levers. So this is an example of a lever. This is an example of a lever. Look at the positions. We have the pivot here. This is the bar on it. Let's say a bar. We have the pivot or the turning point, which is also known as the fulcrum. We have the load here, and we have the effort where the force is being applied. And therefore, we have in between the load and the pivot, we call it load distance. And in between the effort and the pivot, we call it effort distance. So the classes of lever have simple acronym which is FLEE. FLEE means that the first one, which is the F or the fulcrum, is a first class lever. The second letter, which is L, stands for the load, and that is a second class lever. And the third letter, which is E, represents the third class lever, and that is the effort. So it means that when you take this simple machine, garden shear, which look like the scissors, you can see that the handle here, which is the effort, comes first. The effort is here. Then the load is outside here, where you are going to put it, where you are going to put the material that you are going to cut. And the turning point, which is the pivot, is situated in between. So this material or simple machine, if you want to classify it, you are going to have the pivot is in between, or the fulcrum is in between the effort and the load. So you see that the pivot or the fulcrum is positioned in between the effort and the load, and therefore this machine can be classified under first class lever. First class lever, the fulcrum is positioned in between the load and the effort. That is first class lever. So this is where time will permit us to end today's lesson. And I hope we will continue next time, or in our next meeting. When we meet, we will look at the other classes of lever. So in conclusion, we've been able to understand the term machines. Also, we've been able to distinguish between simple machine and compound machines. And also, we've seen some examples of simple machines. So, on that note, continue to take care of yourself until we meet again. Bye-bye.